Well, when we did the 4l80e swap on the Suburban, I shoved the 4l60e into the corner of the shop. And if you recall, it lost second and fourth, and curiosity has gotten the better of me. So I've now put it up on the workbench. Let's tear into it and see what failed. Let me take these bell housing bolts off. We wouldn't really have to, but it'll just make it easier. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna pull the pan. We'll pull the TCC solenoid out, and I think that's the one that goes into the pump. I may have that wrong, but we got to take the one out that goes into the pump to pull the pump, and then I normally just get a screwdriver in behind there and pull up, or pry up, and it'll pop the pump out. So I think I'll bring y'all back once we have the pump ready to come out. All right, get in here behind where the filter goes. And pop that up. And let me have both hands and pull the pump up and set it down. I've got the biggest drain pan I've got just to, make sure we catch everything, because once I started undoing the pan, it was dripping everywhere. I see our failure. There we go. Broke the rivets. So, yeah. I guess we had a band failure. Let me fish it out. We'll take a look at it. All right. There it is. Look. It ripped the rivets out. I would say my super firm 1-2 shift probably did this thing in. Let's see. It just ripped them out. Looks like our case is fine. Didn't hurt it. But yeah. Rivet failure. Well, I guess that's what you get with torque management completely disabled and a really firm 1-2 shift. Yeah, it was applying that band pretty hard, I think. Boom. And eventually it broke it out. So what are we gonna do? We will probably, I don't know. I need to measure it. I think that's a 2 3/8 band, if I remember right. So the drum itself looks fine. It didn't groove it or anything where the band was riding. It doesn't appear we've heard anything once it broke or anything. It all looks good. The broken piece was floating on the other side of the drum. So I think we will order. I'm gonna have to add up prices. If I can put it all back together for under $100, I will probably do that. If not, I don't know. But I feel like it'd be worth spending $100 maybe to get a couple hundred out of it. And if I can't do it for $100, I think at that point it's not worth putting money into it, and it would, be sold as a core. So we got all the pieces down here. I'm gonna leave it like this and start pricing out some parts. We need torque converter, the O-ring seal, the pump seal, the seal for the servo. I think I've got a pan gasket. I just put a filter in it, but we'll probably do a fluid and filter, or not fluid, a filter and pan gasket set, and a band. So I'm gonna price out all that stuff, and if I can order it all for $100, I'll order it. We'll throw it all back together. We are not doing anything else other than that, and and I'll either slide it over in a corner for some other project, or we'll put it on Marketplace as is, explaining the full situation of what happened and what we did. But I feel confident in that we could put a band in it. Question is, since we're here, we really should be doing a full rebuild on it, but I don't want to do that, and because we could be upsetting the balance of everything that's in here. When we are taking something apart, I would not recommend doing that, taking something apart and only replacing what's broke and putting it back together on one of these, because you've opened it up and disturbed everything, and so there's no telling what problems you might end up when you put it back together. So on this though, whatever, I want to give it a little fighting chance, I guess, but I don't know that we would ever use it. So we'll see. All right, went through my transmission stuff, and I found one of these O-rings is the servo cover O-ring. So we're good there. I got a brand new one of those. I'll pull this down. We'll go through it together, but I didn't see anything else. Well, that's not. Let's see. I don't see. Yeah. I don't have much stuff in here. So, and that's engine stuff. This is all I've got. And I don't see anything in there that looks like pump or, yeah. But at least we got this. Oh, that's it. Oh, I thought that was a folded one. Thought it was folded up. Nope. All right, put that back. And so that does at least get us to where we just need the pump O-ring. Would not reuse that, and this pump gasket would not reuse that either. I wouldn't do that to somebody if I'm gonna end up selling this. So, but that's good on the servo cover. That's one less thing to have to get. All right, all ordered. So total with tax and everything, $40.54. So $40 gets this thing hopefully working again. We'll clean up this surface here, and we'll do our best to not knock anything down in there. Probably put some paper towels, line up here so we can clean this off, and just keep this thing clean. I'm going to throw a rag over it. We're going to leave it exactly right here, because I won't have the parts for towards the end of next week. So, and I don't want the sealing rings swelling on the pump, because we're not replacing those. We're going back with them. So I put the pump back on here. So that's all assembled, so those sealing rings will stay sized correctly. Didn't put that thrust washer on just because. So we have to pull that back off to put it on. Then we'll put some of our transmission assembly glue on that, and then stick it on and slide it on. But that'll keep those sealing rings from swelling. The kit I bought with gaskets does include a torque converter seal, so we may throw that on there just because it came with it. And oh, I did not order a filter kit. Let me look and make sure I don't have one here, and if I don't have one, I will order one. All right, ATP filter kit ordered. It was $16, so we're right at $56. So not bad. I guess I'll bring y'all back when it all comes in, and we'll put this thing back together. From what I can see, I've kind of looked over everything I've taken apart, and I don't really see anything concerning. We are not gonna. We will clean up anything we make a mess of and anything we have to reseal, but we're not going to go in here and clean all this stuff up. Minimal disturbance is what you want to do if you're trying to do something like this. This is not the way to do this. To me, I would say any failure on a transmission, internal failure, you should, while you're here, take that time and go through it and rebuild it. I'm not rebuilding it. I'm not taking the time to do that. I don't have the time to do that. That's why we didn't rebuild this one. So yeah, that's just unfortunately where we are on this. Is we will just slap it back together and cross our fingers, I guess. But I think it'll work. I won't know how. If I end up selling it, I will see if the seller could let me know if it worked for them. But like I said, it will be as is. We will do our best to make sure it's good, but I have no way of testing it. So, yeah. All right, it's 2 weeks later. We have got parts in. I'm going to go soak this in some transmission fluid. If we compare it with our old band that was broke, I really don't see much difference in thickness. This is probably the same exact band that I had in it. This is an ATP. I've had good luck with their stuff. I don't think, the problem that we had, I think was just because of our super firm 1-2 shift would be my guess. And I probably should have taken some line pressure out of we didn't have a ton of line pressure in it, but with the shift kit, I probably could have taken some line pressure out. You can see the angle of that. So before it even ripped, it had bent the little tabs there. So, I don't think this was so much of a parts failure. This was a super firm shift that eventually did it. I mean, it's probably the firmest 1-2 shift I've had. And, I would always just kind of feather the throttle. I knew kind of how to feather it to not make it so firm, just kind of got used to doing that. But I really should have probably taken some out. I can't remember. I think I had the tune in it before I rebuilt the transmission. I'm trying to remember. I don't recall. It's possible the tune went in it after. I know I had a tune in it before I rebuilt the transmission. I can't remember if the custom tune came before or after, but all I really would have had to have done was either, one, probably take some line pressure out of it, or two, torque management was turned off. I could have turned torque management back on, at least for that 1-2 shift, and pulled some timing out. But I really think it probably needed a little line pressure taken out of it. I think, the tune was done to firm up the shift, but with all the things I did with the shift kit, the Corvette servo, all that stuff I did to try to firm up the shift, we probably could have backed the line pressure down just a smidge to take a little bit of that firmness out. So, well, we don't really have to worry about that anymore because this isn't going back in the Suburban. So, yeah, I think it would have been fine if it would have been tuned a little milder. So, like I said, I'm going to soak this in some transmission fluid. While that's soaking, I will go ahead and clean up the gasket surfaces. I need to see if I have this O-ring that goes right there at the torque converter. I kind of want to replace that. I didn't think about it. So here's our other parts. This is our O-ring and our gasket. It also came with the pump, the converter bushing, which we're not going to replace that. We may put a converter seal in it because we're here and we've got it right here. I haven't decided that yet, but I'm definitely not doing that bushing. This is probably ATP. They put a sticker over it, and they had, you can kind of see the name. I'm fairly certain this is going to be an ATP part. So I've had good luck with their ATP parts. So I don't, yeah. So like I said, we're going to have to clean this up. Can we get that lucky? Oh man, gotta be careful with it. Awesome. So now I will take a rag with some brake cleaner and just wipe that down. And then we're gonna take some transmission assembly goo, the blue stuff, and just put some of it on here, and we'll put our gasket on. That'll help hold the gasket in place. We got to pull the old O-ring off the pump. I say O-ring, it's like a square cut ring, and put it in. I like to put the transmission assembly grease on it as well. And we'll probably just put a little bit right there to help guide that in. And then we'll be ready to set our band in, and then the drum, sun shell, whatever it is. I guess that's the sun shell. The drum, I don't know. I don't do this all the time. Yeah, and then we'll start assembling it. I'll probably set up some time lapse. Y'all can watch me if you want, or just fast forward if you don't care for that. And yeah, we'll get this thing back together. Okay, what I was doing there, it's kind of hard to, I think all the clutches are all engaged. I wanted to make sure, so I went ahead and test fit the pump without the seal here, and I went ahead and put the gasket on just because that is some space there. And really I was just checking to make sure the pump would seat all the way. And we transferred our blue sticky stuff to the pump. So that tells me the pump was touching the gasket. If we were, you know, off a clutch disc, you know, if it wasn't engaged, then we would be sitting, you know, 1/8 of an inch up. You know, I rotated all this around and tried to get it, make sure it was all the way down. And I mean, it seems like it is. Now, I probably should have left all that in place. I had kind of forgot how the, you got to put, I'm fairly certain, the only way to do it is to put the band in after this drum or sun shell. I think it's the drum. I think the sun shell's the other one. But anyway, we're gonna call it a drum. I'm pretty sure it's a drum. I couldn't remember if you put the band in before or after the drum. I could have left the drum in place. There's pretty much no way to get that band in there that drum is bigger on the other end, plus trying to align the clutches. So much easier to get all that aligned out this into the other part, and then drop it in place, then put the band in. I have to be careful, it's hot out here and my gloves keep dripping. They fill up with sweat. Probably should just take them off. But anyway, I probably should have just left all this in place and wiggled the band out. I could have wiggled it out and leave all this in place, but I didn't, so here we are. So I'm gonna put the O-ring on real quick, the square cut O-ring, is it whatever you want to call that thing. We're gonna put it in place real quick. And we're gonna lube this thing up with some blue goo. And then ideally, I feel like I had some studs that I had made to line the pump. I have no idea where those are. So I think what we're gonna do, I'm gonna grab a couple long Phillips screwdrivers that will fit in the bolt holes, probably 2, and we'll get the pump kind of started and slip those screwdrivers in, and then take it all the way down. Let's see. Let's try this guy. Perfect. I wish it was a little bit longer, but I think we can make do with that. I found 2 that are longer. I'm gonna clean them up real quick, and I think they will fit. So the goal is we will get the pump kind of started, drop those in, yep, and use those to guide. I'll leave y'all in real time here. I should have went and got a brush, I guess, but we can use our finger. This just helps that slide on smoothly. We probably could have reused this and the gasket and been fine, but I am not going to take that risk. The gasket looked pretty good, and I think this O-ring was pretty good, but no one would ever say to reuse it. Guarantee you that. And we will not be reusing it. That is that is too risky. Okay. Now the 2, you can kind of line it up, because you know you have these that go into the pump. You got your filter. It goes into this gap in the valve body, or by the valve body. Make sure that washer's in place. What do you want to call it? Alright, and that goes there. We'll put this one right there. I guess we'll get to see if that will line up. Now, we've got some O-rings on those. See, like, that one does not have an O-ring. And perfect. This one has an O-ring. I do not have new O-rings. One of the kits I bought came with them. I guess this one didn't. This one does not. So we'll put it right there. And if we end up short one, like one fell or something, I'll probably have some O-rings that would fit there. This one has one. These are still really pliable, so I think they'll be fine. This one does not. What do you think? You think the last two will have them? Or do you think we dropped them somewhere? Well, that one's got it. So we'll pull that out. Screwdriver trick works pretty good. I don't recall how I did it before. I feel like I did have some studs that I made. You could just take a bolt longer than this. I'm sure there's probably some metric thread, cut the head off, and use those for alignment. Maybe cut a little screwdriver slot in the end of it so you can make sure you can screw them back out. But like I just did, screwdriver works pretty good. We didn't have to wiggle the pump side to side or anything to get all of our bolts where they would line up. We were in good shape. That went down perfect. And you can see we had to hit it a little bit with the rubber mallet to get it to go down, but it did all right. Now this O-ring there, like I said, I need to try to find one. I'll see if I've got one. I've got a little box of transmission stuff, so we will go through and see if we've got one, and if we do, we'll replace it. If we don't, we will have to get one, because I do not feel good putting that one back on. Well, I do not have an O-ring. So I've got a universal O-ring kit. I don't really trust those O-rings. So I'm gonna have to order that O-ring. We can go ahead and snug up these bolts, and then I may go ahead and should have done the converter seal before I did the we're just gonna snug these up. We're not gonna torque them. Might have been a little easier without the input shaft there. It's probably okay, but we've got it. We might as well use it, I guess. So y'all can watch me do that, I guess. Like I said, we are just snugging these up. We are not torquing them down. I'm just going to put just the slightest of and go into a star pattern. And then we'll just go around, make sure I didn't miss any, make sure they all feel the same. And then what I'm going to do, I'm not going to set up a dial indicator, because we are not that curious. I just wanted to make sure we had some in play, and we do. Like I said, I'm not setting up a dial indicator to do this. We've got used parts in here, so I'm not concerned. Just to help make sure nothing is in a bind. We don't have the pump bottomed out against something. We were just checking, and we've got free play. So I don't know if you can hear that, but there's free play there. So let me see if we can. I think these things got little tangs that catch. Pull them out. All right, let me get my seal puller. I don't know if we can get this guy in here or not, but we will try. If you don't have one of these, this is I think it's a Lyle. We'll put a link in the description. It is great for doing seals. And I see just a little piece of that, the seal part of that seal right there. Piece right there. Let's get a rag. Ideally we'd have already done this, but whatever. Yeah, that bushing, I mean, it looks fine. We are not putting bushing in it. Really, didn't even have to do the seal. I guess I should have made sure it was the right size. So I will put some of this on the back side of it, just to help hold that spring in. A lot of people put wheel bearing grease on seals to make sure when they drive them on that spring doesn't pop out. It's not a bad idea, but you do not want to use wheel bearing grease on a transmission. But transmission assembly goo, go ahead. This is good stuff. They got blue stuff and green stuff. We've got both. I use the green stuff a lot more. I mean the blue stuff a lot more. The green stuff is really, really thick. And I find a lot of times the blue stuff holds stuff better. You would think the green stuff would hold better because it's thicker, but it just doesn't seem to be as tacky. So, but it's good as a lube. You notice I put some around that shaft. That's to lubricate this bushing that's right there. And I just put some on our seal. It's just good to do. So to drive this on, ideally you would have a big driver that would slip over that. I don't have that, so we are gonna try if we can just work it around. And you just, these are tricky. I'll probably end up speeding up this part of the video. Let's see. I'm gonna look and see if I've got something. You know, I have one that probably, I've got a deep socket that probably would have slipped over this part if I would have done it when the pump was apart, but it's not going to deep enough to slip over the input shaft too. Because I'm paranoid, all right, it for sure is all the way down. A little bit of goop right there. Get that out. Okay. And just get that excess off the outside so it doesn't attract dust. And that is one seal installed with a piece of PVC. And let's see. That looks about right. And we will take this. Just trying to get those things to grip a little better. I'm driving them down to hold tight. That feels good. That is flush. Got a little bit of a gap on this side. Yeah, that's good. All right. That's all I'm gonna do today. Y'all don't let me forget to torque these down. We're gonna put that over that and come back, I guess, next weekend. I was hoping to get it all back together today, but yeah, like I said, I had to do a few other things before I could start working on this, and I'm just out of time. So I'll bring y'all back next week. Well, I said I wasn't gonna do any more, but I got to thinking, there is no reason that we should not torque the pump down. We are not taking it back off, so we might as well torque it down, and then I won't forget. You know, we do it now, it's done, and I don't risk forgetting it later. So grab the torque wrench, and we will just go in a star pattern, 18 foot-pounds. Those took quite a bit more than I thought they would. So we are just giving them a good little, they might torque up all the way. Okay, now we'll reset and we'll make sure to go all the way. Over here. Go over here. Yeah, 18 foot-pounds is not much torque, so just keep that in mind. You can easily over torque these things if you're not using a torque wrench. It's threading into aluminum case, so you do not want to strip these out. All right, see, now we're done, and that part is done. O-ring, and then we'll do the bell housing. I guess we could have done the bell housing, but we won't. Now I'm out of time. All right, got our new O-ring, GM parts, 242-12987, straight from Amazon. I'm gonna get a little transmission fluid and put on that, and we will put it in place just like that. Put a little bit of that on there. There. And then when the converter gets slipped on, that'll be all lubed up. So I'm gonna set up time lapse. I've got to do a little bit on the valve body. I think I'm gonna wait to put the bell housing on, probably till we get it back on the ground. I guess I could do it. I mean, the bell housing's not that light. I mean, not that heavy, but I want to keep it as light as possible, since it's only me lifting this thing. So probably, I mean, I put it up here with it on, but if we can lighten this thing up, my back would appreciate that. So I'll get y'all set up. We will finish putting the valve body area back together, and then we'll put a new filter on it. I've got a new filter and gasket, and we got to do the side cover as well. I got a new O-ring for that, and servo, put the servo back, all that. So I'll get y'all set up, and I'm gonna try to knock this out real quick. I've got some other things. I need to change the oil in the Lincoln, so I'm trying to do this real quick. It's been a few weeks. It's been apart. I didn't realize that big schmoo. Why didn't y'all tell me I left a big glob there? All right. Let me get this knocked out real quick, and so I can get my other stuff done. Change the oil in the Lincoln. All right, let's slide the servo in, and we can look and make sure. I'll look through here with the light that I don't have handy. Just use my phone, I guess. All I'm doing is just making sure that the servo is engaged in the band, and it is. All right, I wanted to do that before I got the pan on it. And now we're going to push the servo cover on, and I'll put just a little bit of assembly goo on the O-ring on the servo cover. I did end up having to order an O-ring for this. The one I had that I thought was for this was larger. It did not fit the cover. I don't know what it's for. It was with my transmission gaskets and parts, so it's for some transmission in some vehicle. May not be a 4l60e. No idea. All right. There we go. All right, that's where we're going to end this one off. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to tell you if this works or not. In theory, you know, it should. I don't think we disturbed anything. But you never know. You know, it's an unknown. You really shouldn't tear down a transmission with 95,000 miles and not, you know, and just replace a band. You know, you're disturbing it. and yeah, you could cause issues elsewhere. So not ideal, but I'm gonna sell it as a core. So, you know, I'm just gonna throw this thing on Marketplace, I think, and, you know, just kind of explain the situation. And selling as is, that, you know, you could throw it in there and see if it works, but it really should be rebuilt. But if it were me, I would throw it in and risk it, I guess, and try it out. And, you know, but I don't have anything I'm going to put it in. You know, we got the 4l60e and the Suburban, and that's what's going to stay in it. And the truck has a 350 C, TH350C, and Lincoln, of course, Ford, it's got a C6, and I mean, Mercedes has got a Mercedes transmission. I don't have anything else that has a 4l60e, so I have nothing to put it in. So there's no reason for me to keep it. Like I said, I would not put a 4l60e back in the Suburban after I've converted it to a 4l80e. You know, maybe in the future we would get some other vehicle that we would swap it in, but this thing's going to just take up space in the shop probably for years before I'd ever have a use for it, or decided after years I had no use for it. So I'm going to try to get a few bucks out of it. We'll put that towards the money we spent on the 4l80e swap. So that's going to do it for this one. Like I said, unfortunately, I can't provide you with an update on it because we're just not going to have it in anything. So we've got a good core transmission for somebody. It'll make them a good deal, I think, or it'll be a good deal for someone, because I really think it's probably runnable. So, but like I said, it's a core. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more. Let me know what you think on this. You think we fixed it? I mean, we fixed the issue, I'll put it that way. But do you think it's runnable, or do you think, you know, since this thing's got some miles in it, we've opened it up, we did fix what was broken on it, but we've disturbed it, and chances are, you know, it's something else is wrong. So yeah, let me know. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more.